Newsfirst, face to face with Jamal Ratnayakara.
A very good evening and welcome to this Friday's edition of Face to Face, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jamal Ratnayakara, and tonight we have a very interesting guest with us in our studios. He is an actor, he is an attorney at law, and he is very vociferous when it comes to affairs of the state. He is none other than Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara, representing the NPP. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you very much for having me, yes.
So, Mr. Nanayakkara, let's get the ball rolling on a rather different note. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's Grand Convention was held very flamboyantly today at the Sugatadasa Stadium, and one thing that caught my attention was, despite it being the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's Grand Convention, when the General Secretary of the party, Sagara Karivasan, spoke, he spoke about a certain 3%. He said that 3 out of 100 children that are born in this country turn out to be ungrateful citizens. And personally, and I'm sure our viewers will also agree with me, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know what that 3% anecdote means. What do you make of that, Mr. Nanayakkara?
Well, I think there was another line. What he said was that not just they are ungrateful, but also they're just freeloaders.
Right.
Live off other people. Don't work.
Right.
Just a burden on society. So he was going on that line as well, I saw. I mean, honestly, comments like that I should not even bother commenting, because we know who the 3% now are. That's a different, but I'll address that separately. But
right.
At any rate, I don't know whether he was referring to the Rajapaksa boys who don't even work but live off, because that's about the only personal experience he got.
I see.
I mean, probably that's why he got those stats from, because I don't think the Census and Statistic Department will give those stats to him. Probably he made those stats with personal experience in the Rajapaksa boys, I don't know. But I think it's still unfair to call them like that. So, but if it's the other anecdote that they're referring to, the 3%, that is the amount we got in 2019.
The presidential election.
But now there's a new 3%.
What is it?
Podujana Peramuna.
Is that so?
Well, look at it. They went to Sugatadasa Stadium. I mean, there are people who got 6.9 million votes. Why did you pick Sugatadasa Stadium? Can't be due to the rain. Sugatadasa Stadium, all you need is 3,500 people, maximum 5. So,
but it was packed to the rafters. There were canopies outside the stadium with people brimming.
Yeah, still it will be less than 10,000.
I see.
For a party that has taken 6.9 million. Let me put it this way. Let's stop the rhetoric and all the blame game.
Yes.
Only an election will tell you how the people are going to think, how exactly they're going to think. And this is one of the main reasons the Ranil Rajapaksa government keep on postponing elections.
Right.
If the local elections were held, we would have known who the 3% is. For sure, National People's Power no longer the 3%. And Sagala knows that. They're agitated. They have no politics that they can say. I mean, after all, the Supreme Court gave a ruling saying the Rajapaksas and a few others who were involved for destroying the economy. And now they can't go back to the villages or the towns and say, give us the country, we'll uplift it. I mean, look at the social media about the advertising. It was all negative marketing.
Right.
I didn't see much Pohottu advertisements. All I saw were the negative campaign done by the opponents and how they have kept grass on the sides of the road for them to eat. So obviously, Rajapaksas know it's their end. So therefore, people like Sagal and Pohottu are no longer in the equation for us. We are very serious and we are not overconfident. We work very hard, we organize very hard. We are not going to say, okay, fine, we are going to win now. We are not in that mode either.
Okay.
But Pohottu is not a factor that we even consider with any seriousness.
Okay.
And same goes to Ranil Wickremesinghe too.
Right. So if the Pohottu, the governing party in the country, which has a majority in parliament still, and Ranil Wickremesinghe, the incumbent president, is not in the equation for the NPP, who is your competition?
Right now, our competition is ourselves.
Right.
To do better than what we did before. We compete with ourselves.
Right.
And we consider this even not as a competition. We think this as a national salvation struggle.
Okay.
We have to liberate this nation. South, North, East must get together. Shed political party differences. Shed racial, religious differences. We are in a financial predicament that this country need to be liberated. From whom? Corrupt, criminals who occupy in the parliament and some other government institutions. So this, I believe, we have to have a sense of national liberation. This is what the next stage is going to be. Saving this country not from the north, not from the Muslims, but the corrupt elite who's draining our blood. So I think for us, I'm not being like overconfident or cocky here. We are going to work very hard. But we are having political parties who can't go to the village and ask for a vote. Ranil Wickremesinghe, you think UMP fellows can go and ask the vote with the way they have increased VAT? You think these fellows, Rajapaksas, can go after the Supreme Court ruled what they are? Sajid Premadasa, I will not even comment. Let him continue his journey. So therefore, we are not exactly in competition with anyone, but we are putting out our message, putting out our story to the people. So we are telling them, time is now to change, and frankly, I'm not being arrogant. There's no competition, because at the end of the day, when the election comes, there'll be only two sides. One led by Ranil and Rajapaksa clan, or whoever the other cocktail of parties are. And then Sajid and them, of course, they might contest alone. But today in the papers, I saw even internally there are problems, because they feel they should be siding with Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Manu Ganeshan's team, and some others. So who knows? Even if a general election comes, let's say Sajid wins large number of seats, most probably he will join camps with the other little ones to defeat us. So at the next election, there are only two sides. One side is led by the NPP, the other side led by the rest of the world, or the rest of Sri Lanka. Political people.
Okay. So let's talk about the NPP. In your nearly 5-decade history, before the NPP was created, because the JVP is a large part of the NPP coalition, you have never governed this country. Although you have been driving political force in the country, you have never taken the helm in the country, and we have no track record of the NPP. The people do not know what the NPP will do, what sort of policies they will adhere to, and that's one allegation, not an allegation, but that's one factor used by your opponents to say, look, don't vote for the NPP, vote for us instead, because we have experience in governing this country. What makes you think that the people who have historically voted for these traditional political parties will finally shed that trend, will finally break that trend and vote for the NPP at the upcoming elections?
Well, let me put it this way. Those who are fearful of what will NPP do, they have no experience in running the country. Will they make a mess? Or will the JP, socialist, communist things will come? Is the NPP another name for the JVP? So if someone is fearful or worried about it, I think it's very reasonable, because we have not run the country before. So therefore it's a very reasonable suspicion to have. But if the same people are thinking that Ranil or Rajapaksas or Sajid can do it, they must be insane. It's okay to doubt us. It's okay. But if the same person is thinking, so therefore I will vote for one of the three, I mean, go to a doctor, I'd say. Because you know why? Yes, we have not done so, therefore right. But from the time we got independence, hasn't Ranil been in the parliament from 1977? Has he done anything differently? Has the Rajapaksas been there from 1971 or something? And they done something differently? Sajid Premadasa, although he comes out new party, he was there during the Yahapalala government. He was the deputy of the party. So wasn't he responsible for what went on? The sugar scams and the bonds and whatever not. And when you look at these three parties, what have they offered differently to the people? And if you look at them, true, I mean, most of them, speak good English, wear nice suits, have gone to the right school, so to speak, which attract the Colombo middle classes quite well, English-speaking ones. I mean, haven't they been the same guys who ran this place down? They are the ones, eh? They have gone to, good schools, good unis, they have been ministers, but they're the same ones who ran it down. So, what is the option now? I'm not saying we are the best party. Okay? There are far better citizens here who know their stuff, who are more patriotic than us. They are not within our fold. Right? They are not within our fold. And when we get government, we are not going to say all positions will be filled in by NPP members only. Wrong. That's not going to happen. We will appoint the right people. It doesn't matter. Once we take government, it doesn't matter who the other people are. They could be UMP, they could be PA, I don't know. But whoever the right person to run the government, department head, secretaries will take. We are not going to give our kith and kin jobs.
Yes.
So therefore, that fear is unfounded. But there is another aspect to it. That is because, I mean, I think I'll be honest with you, our message and about us, why should they trust us? NPP is a brand new outfit. But the JP has been there in the parliament from year 2000.
Yes.
Anuruddha Sanayak has been there.
Yes.
Look at his past. He has been a minister. He has run the place profitably. But not a single allegation of corruption or waste. They had about nearly 20 MPs. Yes, there were some certain bad political decisions they took to side Mahinda and Chandrika, whatever. All those things are there. They are the past. Right? But there are no allegations against us for corruption and waste. Isn't that the number one problem in this country? When the Auditor General said 8 trillion rupees have been taken as loans from projects, as project loans.
Yes.
But we can't figure out what happened to the 6 billion of them. Only 2 trillion. I mean, look at it. This is from year like, I think, some 2005 or something onwards, 2006 onwards.
Right.
So, we are the only option now. And the people have realized it. But there are few people who maliciously plant misinformation about us, especially among the Kalama middle classes who speaks English and they have access to English.
Yes, you brought up a very important fact, Mr. Nanayakkara, about misinformation, and another fact that opposing parties say is that the English-speaking base within the NPP is very limited, and should you come into power one day, it will be difficult for you to engage with the international community, which we need the assistance of in the long run, despite whether we like it or not. How do you address that?
Well, I'll answer it in two ways. Like, I mean, have you seen that former MP of Japan, Shinzo Abe, speaking English? Have you seen Xi Jinping speaking English? They use translators, right? People are not going to deal with us internationally just because we wear nice suits and speak English. It's what we offer for them and what they can offer us. It's integrity, negotiation, and above all, the location we are in the middle of the sea route.
Yes.
We are needed. Not that we have gold or oil for people to be disinterested. You know, in the geopolitical scene, China is interested, India and so there's different. We are a major player. So all we now need to do is to negotiate what this country needs with the international community. We firmly believe we will have a non-aligned policy towards dealing with the international world. And those who are saying that thing, saying it knowingly, saying these fellows can't speak English. So if you can tell me a single loan or a whatever investment that Ranil Wickremesinghe has got because he spoke English and personally, show it to me, I'll be very happy. That's not the case. Yes, they will offer him a cup of tea, but those parliaments have to approve investment in these places. For them government to give us loans, not investments, rather loans, they approve. Only in our country, 1 or 2 families get together and decide all the investment decisions. And the parliament just rubber stamps it. So therefore, I believe that's also a story created by those people who want to mislead. Actually, I feel sorry for the Colombo English-speaking middle classes.
Also.
They are being misinformed left, right and centre.
Right.
I'm not saying they're pompous, they only see English ones. I'm not saying that. But even at my place, we are more comfortable conversing in English. So naturally, they look at only the English media. Naturally, not them being pompous or anything. Right? So, for their information is that. So, any edited thing that goes in there, they will go bananas.
So absorbed.
They will absorb. And our weakness on that part for National People Power is that there are very few organic English speakers in our party. Right? Very few. So, as a result of which, we can't send out the message to the Colombo middle classes as much as we would love to. Right? This is the weakness of our part. But that is a weakness that we can always manage with translators. That's how the modern world works. So, again, thank you for asking that question, because not only that, they edit some of our speeches. They misrepresent deliberately. So, all I can tell the public is that if you hear anything about us, firstly, check from our official sites. Secondly, Anura, Lala, whoever, does not just speak for 2 minutes and stop. We speak for 15 to 20 minutes, but they edit it and make sound. So, look at the whole context. So, they will continue to do that because even some media stations have their own agenda, the political parties they back. Natural, even printed media. So, next year you will hear more misinformation, more confusion. So, if you speak to us instead of our opponents, at least we will tell you what we think about a particular point. Now, you and I may disagree on that. That's perfectly all right. That's how politics is. right?
Yes.
That's how politics is. So basically, we say something, you don't agree, absolutely fine. That's what democracy and ideas about.
Yes.
But I feel sorry for them because, you know, in the 21st, this modern day and age, the illiterate person is the person who can't unlearn wrong things they have learned, unlearn, learn and relearn new things. But I believe now the problem is over.
Right.
After the Gulf struggle, one thing happened. One thing happened. Although people say it was useless.
Yes.
That is, people finally opened their eyes and ears. They started seeing with their mind instead of just eyes. For the first time, they said no to racism. They realized they've been taken for a ride by successive governments. They straightened their backbones. And now they're saying what? Most of these fellows who are against this government doesn't mean that they're automatic votes for the NPP.
Right.
What they're saying is, we are rejecting you. We are rejecting you, the parliament. We are rejecting you, the executive. We are rejecting this corrupt political culture and criminality.
Right.
That's what they're saying. They are not saying we are going to vote for NPP. That's what this Hagar and them get it wrong. It is not that everybody who criticizes the government is going to vote for us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But they're saying no to the system. And right now, who are the only people who are offering that change? Printed in black and white on a policy basis? That's us, the National People's Power.
Right.
So therefore, thank you for asking that question, but the reality is that people have already changed. And we just want an election to prove that we are right.
Right. So the NPP has been very expressive when it comes to challenging the establishment, breaking the system and maybe reinventing the wheel in terms of developing Sri Lanka. But Sri Lankans, historically we know, are very emotional people. When it comes to elections, you give them an allowance, or you go to a crowd of people, you speak to some of them, you cuddle a child, that's your vote sorted. Do you believe Sri Lankans have broken away from that mindset by now, Mr. Nanayakkara?
They did it at the Gulf phase. They did it just there.
But now, if you go out onto the street and ask someone if they were part of the Aragalaya, they would probably shy away from the question.
Could be many reasons, more than one, because not all of them had genuine and sincere intentions even at the Aragalaya,
Exactly.
which we know some of the characters. But they changed, because you know why? I firmly believe, brother, that people do change.
Right.
If people don't change, countries won't prosper.
Right.
We have changed. But sometimes change doesn't come as fast as some of us would like. It comes in a context. There's education, there's poverty, there's ignorance. So that's why the National People's Power firmly believe bulk of our politics is on the street and inside houses, educating the public, which we've been doing from 2021, from the time our Executive Council was established.
Right.
Any given day, I work mainly on the weekends. We'll take a Saturday for an example. We have what you call discussions, or domestic discussions, 10-15 people. And I do about 100
Right.
on a day, about 3-4 meetings.
Okay.
Pocket meetings, small ones, discussions, no rhetoric. Just like that, there are over 1,000 comrades right around the island doing the same thing. So we are educating about 30,000 people a day. No easy task.
Right.
It's organizing.
Right.
The best weapon we have is educating and informing the public. We do it at least 30,000 a day on a personal basis for the last 2 years.
So then, let's talk about the ethnic conflict.
Yeah.
Politicians, political parties have used racial tensions to their advantage for since time immemorial, and there still seems to be no concrete resolution for that. How does the NPP plan to address the national issue?
Race and religion, as you know, has always been a trump card
Yes.
for corrupt rulers who doesn't have solutions for the country's problems. Because as you rightly pointed out, you know, when we are born, we are like empty pots.
Yes.
Things get poured in, you know.
Fed.
So our culture, our religion, what we like and dislike. I mean, if you are from Buddhist household, you'll take lessons from the Jataka stories or Dhammapada. If you're a Christian child, from the Bible, Quran, etc., etc.
Yes.
So the whole idea is we are naturally attached to our religion. We are sensitive towards it, our cultural identity, and it's perfectly all right to be sensitive. But in the hands of the corrupt politician, you rub that person in one way, then the racial tensions come out.
Right.
You remember these Vanda Kottus and the Vanda Brasiers, no?
Yes.
They came from sources like professors,
Yes.
when there was no such medicine in the world. And you remember how the snake came from the underworld but could not
Caribbean.
break through the plastic bottle.
Yes.
But even those who are holding PhDs wanted to believe it.
They endorsed it.
They endorsed it. They were fine with it. So yes, it's there. It's there. But that is also dying. You remember some time ago, Ranil Wickremesinghe tried to say, I'm going to give 13 plus and 13.
Yes.
Now, is there any conversation about it afterwards? Nothing. He knows he can't run the country.
Yeah.
He has no mandate to run the country. Just a legal loophole is there, right? So he thought he'll put that twist and see. But did people buy it? No.
It died down naturally.
It died down. So racism, because Rajapaksas, we have to be thankful for Gotabaya and Rajapaksas, because it is not actually the talent of the NPP for becoming this popular now. It is the Rajapaksas. They misled and used the people's trust so badly, people opened their eyes. And I'm telling you now, Natasha saying something about the Buddha, Pastor Jerome saying, I'm saying what they said and did was wrong.
Yes.
I'm not saying no. But couldn't they all be part of a big script to see whether you can spark another thing? But nothing gets sparked. The moment that goes on, you look at social media, what they're saying is, oh, beware, it's another script. Some of our people who are fond of us come and say, comrade, they might do something nasty in the last minute before elections. So you have to be ready, they say. Now, those days, the public never said that. Now they're saying it because they know the last minute they're going to do something. So if the people are ready for it, they can't mislead them. Race, religion, no longer will raise the ugly head. We as a party, one of the reasons we went down to 3% was after the East attack. We are the ones who said, yes, we reject terrorism. Right? We must stop it. Unqualified.
Yes.
But not all Muslims are terrorists, we said. That was the most unpopular thing to say at that time, and we said it. And that is one of the reasons why we are 3%. We are not a party, brother, that will change our policies or how we feel in our conscience just to win an election.
According to the trend.
No. We are going to tell what is right. Our job is to not to say something popular and come into power, but stand on what is right and make the right thing popular and make the right thing win. None of us are going to live forever. Right? Look at me. Look at our, we are all middle-aged men now. Give another 10 years, we are gone. Right? But we have to take this country at least a few inches forward. And NPP, we firmly believe we can do that. And this time around, they're going to give us a chance. Race has no chance.
Right. So let's talk about the 13th Amendment, Mr. Nanayakkara, since you mentioned it. The 13th Amendment, and we know India has been a big advocate of the full implementation of the 13th Amendment. And during the economic crisis, India was a very large supporter of Sri Lanka by giving us credit lines, by giving us fuel, and so on. So should the MPP come to power one day and that influence is still exerted on you, how will you navigate those tricky waters? And as a whole, the foreign policy in our country, how will you navigate it? Because we know Sri Lanka is geopolitically centric to many locations and it is a very vital part of geopolitics. How is your foreign policy going to be shaped, where we make sure that it's going to be a 50-50, where Sri Lanka is also going to benefit and also an external party, maybe another country, is going to benefit?
Definitely, because we no longer live in that 1960s world. It's open. There's not a single country which is not open.
Yes.
So if we are unable to work with foreign countries, then we will not survive not even 3 weeks.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we need markets for our produce.
Yes.
We need to become a part of the global supply chain. For that, we have to work with other countries. We don't have enough capital. We have to invite capital here, where we don't have capital.
Yes.
When we have no technology, we must invite technology for that particular purpose.
Yes.
What has been missing in this country is a nationally set target by the government.
A national policy.
National policy. All the investments came to this country as a part of their plan.
Yes.
China wanted a harbour, so they came and invested in one. Right? Those fellows wanted, India wanted some harbour in the south, they wanted one. So we have been playing for economic plan according to what India and China wanted. But what our government would do, we will have our own economic plan. And then we will invite them for those places. Not just China and India. Right? Globally. Firstly, we firmly believe in economic democracy. That means right now only oligarchy invest. During every government there's a favorite set of businessmen who get all the information and everything to invest. So they are the ones who make profit. We want citizens to take part, not the government. It's a private sector. So talking about the global thing you talk about, our policy is non-aligned. But let's be real. India is next to us, whether we like it or not. Right? So therefore, we will have to deal with them. Right? And believe me, India doesn't want to like thrash us either.
Yes.
But sometimes they feel insecure about some of the investment that is coming here.
Yes.
Right? China.
Especially because India and China are pitted against one
Pitted against other because now US and India together.
Yes.
So we will have to work with all of them in an unaligned way. Every investor who comes, they need to make profit.
Right.
And we are okay with that. Why should people invest if they're not getting a profit?
Exactly.
But the reality is this. Are we getting investments now? No. What are we doing? We are selling out. Selling out is not investment.
Right. So no to privatization. When it comes if we come to state-owned enterprises.
No, my God, no. No, it's like this. SOEs, our government will not like a bag of oranges try to hold everything.
Okay.
Right? We have to see some of these SOEs are making losses. Right? So restructuring, necessary. Absolutely necessary. When something is making a loss, you must restructure.
Right.
But what does restructure mean? Process restructuring, management restructuring, resource restructuring, and selling out is one of them. Privatization is one of the options.
Okay.
Right? And we will do this much. We don't want state-owned enterprises to become a burden on the taxpayer.
Right.
That is for sure. But we are not going to just throw a blank and say, we are going to sell this out because they're making loss. How come certain things, the moment you sell them, they start making profit? And who's going to buy if it cannot be turned around? So first thing our government will do, we will take one case at a time and see how they are making the losses.
Right.
Right? If they are making the loss due to corruption and waste, then we attack that. If they are making losses because we have not adopted new technology, for an example, then we can't do it here. If there's a local investor, yes. If the local investor can't, we have to invite something from there.
Yes.
So we are not those, like our opponents, try to mislead the public who says, oh, if they come, everything will be state-owned.
Yes.
No, you can't run like that. You
because
can't
my
run
questions are largely fueled by what we hear on social media, hear and see and read.
I know, brother, right? So what we are saying is, when it comes to state-owned enterprise, they can't be making losses. 100% guaranteed.
Done and dusted.
But we have to on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Where technology and capital needed, yes. Now, for an example, we gave some petrol sales to China. Sinopec.
Yes.
Even Dhammika Perra can do it now. Why Chinese? Post office. Look here, Ranil Wickremesinghe's target is to sell off neoliberal principle. Just sell, try to solve everything, but you can't. Because you sell and take more debt without creating GDP growth.
Yes.
We'll be stuck with the same thing. We'll be stuck with the same thing. So as national people power, we are for privatization. Right? But with a system, with a national economic plan, only when it's necessary. There will be some certain sectors you don't have to keep it. But there are certain sectors, energy. Financial markets. How are to privatize all of them? I'll tell you one thing, next year, this year economy is shrinking, last year economy shrank by 7.5 minus.
Yes.
This year by 4.2 according to the World Bank, if I'm not mistaken. Right? And at the same time, another one, multidimensional poverty. Not poverty, multidimensional risk of poverty. Right? Vulnerable, multidimensionally vulnerable, 56% of the population. Multidimensional vulnerability means not just food, no. It's to do with education, health, basic access.
Many.
So when 56% of the population is vulnerable,
poverty,
multidimensionally for poverty, when the VAT comes in next year, that will tip the balance. And more factories will close, more production houses will close, more jobs will be lost. So how can we create GDP? It's going to be directly linked to energy prices, fuel, energy. Ranil Wickremesinghe went with 80 people to what? Climate summit.
Yes.
He comes back, he put 18% tax on solar plants and panels.
Whereas he should be subsidized.
So, I mean, if you look at Vietnam and other places also, economies to expand, certain sectors must be government regulated, number one, or government monitored. Number three, and finally, government must set the economic plan. Get the private sector to work, because private sector work for the motivation of profit.
Yes.
So therefore, let them work. Let the government take charge. And there's another beautiful thing that we have planned. Let's say, I told as a government, I mean, has any government come and said the finance minister, by 2000 this we need this production of milk, say for an example. We have to take responsibility. If something happens to the industry, we must create a fund to look after that business person who invested.
Stakeholders.
I mean, he may have invested to make profit for him, but his milk is needed for the country. What if he leaves the industry? People are going to suffer. So we are the most business friendly government ever going to come to this country. When we come, people will know that. We are business friendly, but economic democracy. Not for a few people, open, transparent.
Right. We were in conversation with Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara, representing the National People's Power. Thank you very much for joining me and having a very candid conversation on many things, from politics to economics to society at large and so on. Thank you again for joining me this evening. And that's the way it was on Face to Face tonight. Take care and have yourselves a great weekend.